Today, I'm talking my biggest career mistake and how I rebounded. I will never forget this day in my career. It's literally seared into my brain as just me making just some major mistakes. And honestly, it wasn't one mistake. It was a series of mistakes over the course of about a year and a half that I was just making due to bad mentorship and, me believing something that wasn't true, and just me kind of not really investing in who I was as a professional and as a leader. And that resulted into a pretty big mistake in my career. But I rebounded, right? Like, I'll put that out front. I rebounded from that mistake. I got better. I got smarter. I got sharper. I gained perspective. I'm a better leader because of the mistake. So not to, we don't even need to bury the lead here. I bounced back. I rebounded. And today I'm going to talk to you all about my biggest career mistake, where I've made the biggest pitfall in my career, and how I rebounded. And I'm going to talk about four of the core principles for rebounding in your career. I hope this helps you. I hope it gives you new perspective. And I hope that it reminds you that you can absolutely rebound in your career, that the biggest mistake that you've ever made in your career won't ruin your career forever, right? You can bounce back, you can rebound, you can repair, you can restructure, you can rebrand. All of that's available to you. And I know that sometimes when we make mistakes, especially at work, we start to tie it to our value, our personal value. We start to tie it to like who we are and our sort of value as a human, right? But that's not true, right? Your biggest mistake, your biggest, failure, your biggest gap, it doesn't define you, or at least it won't forever. And I'm here to talk to you about how you can bounce back from a big failure and from a big mistake. So let me dive into this story. So the year is, I want to say 2014, 2015. I can't remember exactly. 2014, 2015. I was working for a mid-sized university. And I had supervised a staff of like 3 or 4. I had a really good relationship with my boss. I had what I thought was a pretty good relationship with my staff. I think this was probably the first time that I had supervised full-time professional. Well, no, that's not true. I guess I had supervised full-time professionals at other points in my career, but this was the most full-time staff I had ever supervised, right? So I was supervising maybe like 4 or 5 people. And I was still pretty young at this stage. Like, I feel like I was like not 30 yet. Maybe like I was like 28, 29, 30, like right in that age. So I had years of experience. I probably had like 5 or 8 years of experience at this point. I've been working in the field for a long time. I was an assistant director, so I was like a mid-level leader at this point in my career. And I felt like I was killing it. Like I knew how to supervise my team. I knew what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. I had a good relationship with my boss. I knew my job. I knew their job. I was directing them, providing them with support, helping them grow professionally. Like, I thought I had it in the bag, right? Like, I thought I was doing really well in my career. And honestly, I was. I was being asked to present at national conferences. I was being recognized by my boss and by my peers as like as an emerging leader. I was the first person to ever have my role at this institution. So that was kind of a big deal. Like, no one had ever done the work that I was doing before. So it was a big kind of visibility. Like, I had a lot of visibility in the organization. People knew me. People saw me. I was well known. I was well liked. And I knew I was bringing a lot of innovation to my organization. I was bringing a lot of new perspective. I was bringing a lot of sort of new ways to think about things, new ways to do things, new ways to approach things. And I think that this is a common experience of women and, Black and brown women in particular, right? So there's this phenomenon that happens in the world of work that, an organization is changing, an organization is shifting, an organization is kind of trying to move something forward. And they often hire women, and Black and brown women in particular, to do this work. When an organization needs to make a major transition, I'm telling you, they often hire women, and they moreover hire Black and brown women. Like, I don't exactly know why this phenomenon exists. Like, I'm sure that someone who studies organizational theory and organizational culture can like chime in here. If you do that kind of work, you can give me some perspective here. But I know this to be true because I, as a professional, as a Black woman, have been, like, I feel like the last 4 or 5 positions that I've had, I've been first in role. The organization was, changing something, shifting something. They developed this new position and they hired me, right? And I feel like this is the experience of a lot of my peers. Like, they're the first in role. They're the first to do something. They're innovative in their approach, and that innovative nature is really attractive to organizations when they're trying to switch things up and change things and move something forward. And so they're hiring Black and brown women to do this work, right? And so this was the predicament that I was in this role. And, I was in this role, in this job, I was new in role. The position was new. I was bringing a lot of like innovation and new ideas to this position. And I knew I was really challenging like the old guard, right? Like I knew that, like I knew I was challenging the old guard. I knew I was challenging their way of thinking. I knew I was inviting a different perspective. I knew that I was holding people accountable at a higher level. I knew I was using data to make decisions. It wasn't just, well, this is what we did last year, or this is what we usually do, or, I like it this way. I was really using data to make informed decisions about how we should move forward and what we should do. And that was a new perspective, because in the past it was just like, well, we do it this way. This is how we do it. Or we always have done it this way. And so I was really like driving change in a meaningful way. And I had like my approach to like leadership, my approach to supervision was just like high and by, right? Like I was like, I'm not a micromanager. I'm not going to be all in your business. Here's the vision. Here's what you should be doing. Here's the roadmap, take it and run, right? Like I like to hire experts. I like to hire people that know what they're doing, and I like for them to do it. In this case though, I didn't hire any of the people that I worked with, right? So all of these people were working there before me. Some of them had applied for the job that I was in. They didn't get it. Obviously they hired me. And so I think that there was some tension there, and I was very much an innovator. I was challenging the organization and my staff to do things differently than they had ever done. And I think that I also very much came in like, hi, I'm Ashley. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is the vision. This is how we're going to move forward. Please take action. Like I was like holding people accountable. I wasn't really interested in getting to know my staff or my colleagues. Like for real, like I was living in a small rural town, in the Midwest. I wasn't from there. So I just was like, I like to come to work. I like to do my work. I like to leave. Like I wasn't trying to hang out with them. I wasn't trying to get to know them. I wasn't trying to get to know their family, their dog. I wasn't trying to get to know the town. I wasn't trying to get to know nothing. I was in and out, right? Like I was in and out. Like I wasn't really invested in the staff and the people in the team. I was invested in the work. I love the work. I was passionate about it. I was really good at it, but I wasn't really invested in the people that work there, right? And this is the crux of this painful story, right? The crux of this painful story is like my biggest career mistake is that I wasn't invested in the people that I was working with. I was invested in the work. I was invested in like doing a good job. I was invested in my own career growth and development. I was even invested in the growth and development of my staff, but I wasn't invested in them individually as people. And the truth is that I had been told, right? I had been told by my mentors. I had been told by women who were mentoring me, by people who I trusted that like, Ashley, like you don't need to, you don't need to build on a whole lot of, work relationships at work. These people are not your friends. You don't need to be kikiing with people after work. You need to do your job. You're a Black woman. You got to work twice as hard to get half as much. Like this is what you got to do. You get in, you good at, you do the work, and you put your head down, and you don't try to get invested in getting to know people. Like you don't need to do all of that. You just need to focus on what your job is and do a good job. And I think, and let me be fair, let me tell the truth that, a lot of my mentors at the time were, folks who had worked in their industries for 40, 50 years. They had advanced to senior level leadership. They were thriving in their careers, but their pathway to thriving in their careers was put your head down and do the work, right? That's what their framework was. Don't ruffle no feathers, get in good with a couple of people, build a couple of relationships, which you don't got to be friends with people. You don't got to, try to, make yourself, likable, right? Like you just need to like put your head down and do the work. And I respect that pathway maybe worked well for them in their career, or moreover, and what I think is more true is that that's just what they had to do to get by. Like that was their pathway, but it was really bad advice for me. It was really bad advice for me because what ended up happening, and I didn't recognize this, but I was isolating my staff, right? I was supervising people that I didn't know. I was leading a team that I wasn't super invested in. And it wasn't because they were horrible people. It wasn't because like I didn't like them, they weren't nice people. It just was, I was taught, I was mentored to not really get invested in your staff, in the people at work. Like, you're there to do a job. You don't need to be, trying to be besties with nobody. You don't need to make friends. You don't need to be likable. You just need to put your head down and do the work. And let me know if any of you have been sort of mentored in this same pathway, right? That you've been told, put your head down and do the work. These people at work ain't your friends. Like, you just need to like focus. You don't need to ruffle feathers. You don't need to try to be besties with nobody. You just kind of need to get in, get out, and make a living, right? And so that was the place. And let me know if that resonates with you. Just throw some hearts up on the screen if that's been true for you. And for me, like, that was the way that I was being mentored. And so, I was, and again, I was getting really good feedback from my supervisor, my team, my colleagues liked me. I was, had good relationships with them. And then one faithful day, I was at my desk doing work, and I got called into my boss's office. And again, my boss and I had a positive working relationship. I generally had a really good relationship with him. And so when he called me into his office, I didn't think anything of it. So, I take in my little notebook, my little pen, I sit down and I'm like, hey, what's up? And he was like, he had a computer, and I'm just let me see if I can illustrate this for y'all, because when I tell you I remember this, this is seared into my literal brain. And so like I was like, he was at his desk sitting here. I was across from him, looking at him across from the desk, and he kind of turned his computer monitor toward me. And he was scrolling up. It was like, I felt like this man was scrolling forever. He's scrolling up and he's scrolling up and he's scrolling up. And what he's reading, or what he's showing me, is a list of complaints that my staff have about me. She's not personable. She doesn't like us. She doesn't say good morning. She just barks out commands. She doesn't know us. She doesn't understand us. She's never tried to get to know us. And I was floored. I had no idea my staff felt like this about me. I had no idea that this is the way they perceived me. And quite frankly, I didn't know that they cared, right? Like, and also what was also true is that like none of what he was showing me was untrue. Like, I did not know them. I did not take time to get to know them. They would say good morning. I would say, morning. Like, I wouldn't say, like, they would ask me how was my weekend. I would say it was well, thank you. I wouldn't ask them about their weekend. Like, I literally was just like keeping so much distance between me and these people, my staff. And it wasn't because I hated them. It wasn't because I thought that they were like horrible people. It wasn't because they had did anything wrong to me. It was literally that I felt like I'm at work, right? Like, we don't need to be friends, girl. Good morning, good night. Like, we don't need to chit chat. We don't need to talk. We don't need to get to know. We don't need to kiki. And it's the biggest career mistake I've ever made. It is the biggest pitfall that I ever made, because I thought that leadership was about getting things done. I thought that leadership was about telling people what to do and providing a vision and making it plain. I thought leadership was about driving results. What I didn't recognize then, right, and that I know much better now, right, almost 10 years later after this incident, is that leadership is about leading people. It's about leading other humans. It's about understanding other humans and how they think and what makes them tick, and getting to know them well enough to invite them to follow you into a new vision and a new course to drive action, right? And in my immaturity around my understanding of leadership, I thought that leadership was just about getting it done. I thought that leadership was just about driving results. I thought leadership was just about, in and out, baby. Like, I don't have time to get to know. I don't have time to, understand about your dog or know what you did this weekend or how your cousin, best friend, partner, blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand that. I thought that leadership was about driving results. And everyone around me was teaching me that, right? Everyone around me was teaching me, Ashley, leadership is about driving results. Leadership is about getting things done. Leadership is about driving action. Leadership is about winning, right? But leadership isn't about any of that, but I didn't know any better. So my boss is literally scrolling up what felt like forever on a page of complaints from my staff. I was so embarrassed. I was so hurt. And I didn't have any defense, because like literally everything he's saying was true. Like, and I was like crushed. Like, I was so embarrassed. I felt so much shame. And I literally went to my desk and like typed in, newjob.com or whatever. Cause I was just like, oh my God, I'm about to get fired. Like I'm about to get fired. I need to find a new job. If I don't get fired, I can't come back here and show my face again. These people hate me. I felt so much shame. I felt so much guilt. It's the biggest career mistake of my life. And so, but I rebounded, right? Like I got over it. I rebounded. And so I want to walk you through like how I rebounded, right? Because I think that, yes, like it's, I'm so grateful that I know better now. I do better now, but I definitely, I rebounded from that. I'm a better leader today than I was 10 years ago. And I'm so proud of my growth and development as a leader. And yeah, I'm excited to share that story with you. So how to rebound after making a mistake at work. Number one, you have to get clear on exactly what your mistake was and what led to it and how it can be avoided in the future, right? Like it was clear to me that like I was taught, I grew up as a professional understanding that you don't need to make friends at work. You don't need to get to know these people. Work is about winning. Work is about getting it done. Work is about driving results. Work is about the dollar bill or the community or the outcomes. Like it's not about your staff. It's not about these people. It's about winning. It's about outcomes. It's about, the thing. And so that was my mistake, that I didn't take the time to get to know my staff, that I didn't take the time to get to know my team, that I didn't understand that the most significant thing about leadership is really the people that you're leading. That's the most important part. And providing them with vision and direction, and a connection to actually want to follow you where you are going. That's the most important part of leadership. And so I recognized that quickly that like that was the pitfall. I understood what led to it, right? Like I was being mentored by people who were very well-meaning, who, didn't wish me harm, but just didn't know enough about me or sort of the new wave of leadership or a new way of doing things that was actually engaging and supportive and inviting and not just like, do this, do that, go here, go there, right? Like they didn't know any better. So they just were teaching me what they knew, but I had to do better. Like I couldn't stay stuck in a leadership framework that didn't involve getting to know the people I was leading and supporting them in a meaningful way. So like getting clear on exactly what mistake I made and what led to it and how it could be avoided in the future, i.e. actually getting to know my staff, getting to know my team, and understanding what their needs are, who they were, and how to lead them in a way that will actually inspire affinity toward the work and affinity toward the thing that we were doing. That's the number one way to rebound after a career mistake, is that you have to get clear on exactly what your mistake is. If you're just like, well, it ain't my fault and they need to get to know me and I'm trying to make no friends. Like if you're still in denial, honey, if you're still wrapped up in it ain't your fault and a lack of accountability, you're never gonna rebound from the mistake, honey. It's like AA or NA or whatever. The first step is acceptance. You have to accept what you did, get clear on what it was, and how to avoid it in the future. So that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is take accountability for what you knew and what you didn't know, right? So this is, I think, the hardest part about rebounding after a mistake, is that you have to take accountability for even things that you didn't know. And like, this is like counterintuitive, right? Because everybody at every stage is telling you, it's all about what you know. It's all about what you know. And then you make a mistake at work and it's like, well, I didn't know any better. But you have to be accountable even for the stuff that you didn't know. You not knowing better is not reason enough to not fail. And that sucks, right? That absolutely sucks, because it's like, well, damn, how like I get blamed for the things that I didn't even know any better? Yes. You are responsible at work for even the things you don't know about. Now, let me be clear that you don't have to know everything. There's space for learning and growing and development in your career. You don't have to, know everything. You don't have to be an expert at everything. But like, in order to rebound after a mistake at work, in order to rebound, in order to grow, in order to develop, in order to really take the next step, you absolutely have to take accountability for the things that you know, and the things that where you know better, and the things where you didn't know any better, and for the things where you weren't sure, and for the things that you didn't get trained on, right? That's adulting. That's career development. That's growth. What did Monique say? That's growth, right? That's growth, right? And one of the biggest career mistakes that you can make is not taking accountability. Well, I didn't know any better. Well, didn't nobody tell me? That's not going to cut it. Girl, not at your big grown age. Not at your big grown age. You have to take accountability for what you know and what you don't know, right? Thirdly is to chart a course forward that includes amends where necessary, right? So what we want to avoid is getting stuck in our mistake, not moving on, not rebounding, staying there, not advancing, right? Like one of the ways that I rebounded after that huge career mistake that I made was that I went to my staff and I said, hey, I don't know that I've spent the time to really get to know you all and invest in who you are and ensuring that I'm the kind of leader that you need me to be in this season. I thought that leadership was about, I'm this kind of leader. I'm a servant leader. I'm a, communicative leader. I'm this leader. I thought that that's what leadership was. Leadership is about being the kind of leader that the people that you are leading need you to be, which requires you to get to know them. It doesn't require you to kiss up. It doesn't require you to be best friends with them. It doesn't require you to be fake or phony, but it does require you to be intentional about building a meaningful relationship with the people that you serve, right? And so the mistake that I made is that I didn't know that at the time, right? Again, I had to take accountability for what I knew and what I didn't know. I didn't know any better. So I was leading poorly. I wasn't engaging appropriately. I wasn't building a meaningful and supportive relationship with my staff, which really led to a horrible mistake in my career where I had alienated my entire team, right? But the third step to rebounding after making a mistake at work is to chart a course forward, right? That includes amends, right? So I had to share that, hey, like I recognize that I haven't really been engaging you all on a personal level, and I'm going to start to be more vulnerable and share more of myself. And I'm also going to invite you to do the same. And from that, we can build a meaningful and healthy working relationship. And that relationship is important to me, that relationship is an important part of me leading this team and leading it well, right? Saying that, believing that, moving and operating in that way. That's step number 3 in rebounding after a mistake at work. You have to chart a course forward. I could have just said, well, I'm just going to quit. They don't like the way I lead. They don't like me. I'm out of here. Right? And that would have been cute. A little, viral moment, pick up my bag like Viola Davis and walk the other way. That would have been cute. And I still would have made the same mistake in my next job and have to quit or get fired from the next one because I hadn't learned my mistake. I learned from my mistake, right? Like I hadn't learned the lesson that was awaiting me in really understanding leadership and being a better leader, right? So that's step number 3. And then step number 4 is to forgive yourself. There's so much shame. There's so much shame in making a mistake at work. There's so much shame in making a bad decision. There's so much shame in publicly messing up. There's so much shame in getting called out. There's so much shame in getting called in. There's so much shame in that, right? And just throw some hearts up on the screen if you ever felt shamed at work. If you ever felt like, oh my God, I cannot believe I sent that email. Or, oh my God, I cannot believe they seen that. Or, oh my God, like if you ever felt shame at work, just throw a heart up on the screen. I just want folks to know that they are not alone, that this is a thing, that this happens. But we really have to forgive ourselves, right? The fourth strategy to rebounding after making a mistake at work is to forgive yourself. Most often we are hardest on ourselves. We are so self-aware. We are so committed to self-improvement that when we make a mistake, baby, we like, oh my God, like I might never rebound. I might never get over this. Like the company might never forgive me. I might get fired. I might be homeless. I might have to sell foot pics on the internet for income. Like we start to spiral, baby. We start to spiral. But I'm telling you that my biggest mistake, baby, I rebounded. 10 years later, I'm making 3 times the income that I was making 10 years ago. 10 years after my biggest career mistake, I have grown my career exponentially. 10 years later, I'm a better leader. I'm more accountable. I have better relationships with my team than I've ever had before. You can rebound from your biggest career mistake. And moreover, you can rebound from any mistake, right? Like I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. I believe in redemption, honey. I believe in forgiveness. I believe in mercy. Honey, it's all available to you. It is all available to you. You can rebound. You can come back. You can start again. You can rebuild. Do not let shame and embarrassment and second guessing keep you stuck in a mistake. You made the mistake. Take accountability. Get clear, chart a course forward, and forgive yourself for what you knew or what you thought you knew or what you didn't know. Forgive yourself. And don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in a career mistake. It's so easy to do, but we can't. We can't get stuck in a career mistake. We have to rebound. Because if we get stuck, we'll stay there. We'll stay there forever. And if you feel like you're in a place in your career where you're like, Ashley, baby, this mistake, this was something, right? And you feel like you need mentorship to navigate that, I'm here to serve you. I'm accepting new mentees right now through Friday. And if you are a professional woman who really needs some support, if you really need some support in rebounding, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you. When I tell y'all I was ashamed, when I tell y'all I went out of that office and was like, findanewjob.com, because baby, I was about to quit and go move in with my daddy because I didn't have time. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. That man had 10 pages full of complaints about me. I was ashamed. But I'm better. I'm better for it. I'm a better leader. I'm a better professional for it. It was hard. I made a big mistake, but I learned from it. You can learn from yours too. If you need support in that, I'm excited to mentor you. You can take the first step in getting access to my mentorship on my website at mentor-me.org. If this live was supportive to you, please share it. I think that shame around career, mistakes around career, we don't talk enough about. Like even me as a career coach, right? Like mostly I'm talking about my mentees' wins. I'm talking about, she got the job. I'm talking about the, $15, $20, $30, $80,000 salary increases. I'm talking about $1 million in salary. That's the stuff I love to talk about. That's the fun stuff. But I also, want to reach out to those women who feel low in their career, who feel like, man, I made a mistake. And maybe the mistake is that you chose the wrong career. Maybe the mistake is that you chose the wrong degree program. You chose the wrong industry. You chose the wrong boss, right? And you're like, I don't know how to get out of this mistake. My whole career is a mistake. This whole job is a mistake, right? Like whatever that is for you. I just want to just let you know that like you can rebound from whatever mistake you've made in your career. You don't have to stay stuck there. You can move on. And if you feel like you need support in moving on, if you're like, my career feels like a mistake right now. My career feels like a failure right now. My career feels like, baby, I've been here for 2 years, too long. Right? If as soon as the pandemic is over is a lot of your rhetoric, and as soon as this happens, I talked to a new mentee yesterday. Her name is Elia. Her name's Elia. And she said, Ashley, I've been saying as soon as for 2 years. Well, as soon as this happened, I'm helping my career. And yesterday she joined Mentor Me programs. And I said, girl, we never doing as soon as again. We never doing that again, right? One of your biggest mistakes might be that your whole life is as soon as. Well, as soon as I finish this and as soon as I finish this, and because as soon as I do this, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna get help in my career. But as soon as girl, no, stop making that mistake. As soon as it's today. As soon as this live is over, I'm gonna schedule a call with Ashley. That's about as soon as we gonna go. Right? It's time to take action in our career. It's almost the end of the year. We have like 63 days or something left in this year. Let's get going, sis. Don't let your biggest career mistake end up being stuck in this job any longer, being stuck in this industry any longer, being stuck in this town with this job any longer, being stuck in this low paying job, being stuck in this job where you have to work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, where you have to work 2 and 3 jobs and only get 1 paycheck from the employer, right? Like, don't let that be your biggest mistake any longer. Right? It's time to rebound. You can rebound. And if you need support in getting back on your feet in your career, I'm here to serve you. You can go right to my website. My website is mentor, mentor-me.org. So mentor-me.org. The call with me is free. It's just an opportunity for me to get to know you, understand how I can help you. And I have some availability this week. So go ahead and schedule your call. I'm looking forward to helping you. Thanks so much for watching today's live. Bye.